In the past few years, we've heard the term free agents and been told we would all need to become one in order to succeed. The recent economic structures have helped to promote this concept as reality. Where do we get the tools to take control of our career path in the present and future? Welcome to the Career Confidante with your host, Marie Zimenoff. Marie and her guest experts are here to provide you with the tools you need to move forward and achieve your career goals. Now, here is Marie Zimenoff.
Welcome to the Career Confidante, and we're glad that you're joining us here today. And you are going to be glad that you're joining us because, as you know, we like to keep you up on the latest that you need to take control of your own career or help clients do that if you're in the career services industry. And today we have a treat for you. We've got Marcia Baker joining us. And Marcia is a Chief Motivational Officer at Advance the Vision. She has an amazing background where digital and career meet. And I met actually years ago when she was the tech chair for a national organization in the career space. And Marcia, you have just gone to do great things in both the technology and in the career space. And I know that you just said that both of those areas are very busy right now. So we're excited to have you on the show. Thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thank you for having me, Marie.
Yes. So you work with small businesses on technology, and then you also work with clients and their careers. So we're going to talk kind of a little bit about both of those things, but tell me what you're doing to guide clients in using technology because there's so much overwhelm right now. How are you helping clients figure out what to pay attention to?
Well, technology plays such a crucial role in career transition or reinvention or even transitioning into entrepreneurship. And it's not just about staying current with the latest industry trends, but it's also about leveraging technology to boost visibility and establish credibility and also to cultivate a network. So I guide my clients to understand the value of a robust digital presence, and whether that means a well-written resume or an optimized LinkedIn profile or even a professionally designed business website. It's just that we live in a world where words matter, and if you want your desired audience to know about you, you have to be able to present yourself in such a way that they hear you and know what you are trying to convey to them.
Right. And that can kind of help you not be as overwhelmed with all the latest trends because, as you said, you're really worried about what matters for you, right? What matters for your search. When someone has that they're trying to figure out what technology would be the best for them, how do you help them decide?
Oh, well, it depends. It depends on what they're doing, what they're comfortable with, and the audience that they're trying to reach. There's so many platforms and all different types of software and hardware that can be utilized. So it's important for the clients to feel comfortable with whatever they're using.
Yes, yeah, it's kind of that. We had what do you call it, concentric circles or Venn diagram, where you're looking for that place that your skills and interests and kind of match up with the audience. So thinking about what you like to do and what will be something you can maintain and
Right.
what the audience is going to be looking for.
Right.
Anything different for a small business that might be thinking about all these new technologies? I know someone I was just listening to yesterday on a marketing train. They said that there's more than 150 AI marketing tools, and that's overwhelming.
Yeah, it is. It really is. There's so much out there these days, and finding what really works can be a challenge. because there's so much. It seems like everybody's jumped on the bandwagon, whether it makes sense for them in that particular software or not. So I try to help my clients navigate these trends and educate them on AI-friendly techniques, and particularly when it comes to brainstorming and research, or in the case of like videos, which are also pretty prevalent these days, and getting people to understand how important it is for them to become comfortable with that for interviewing purposes or even for personal promotion. And the key is to help people adapt and use these technological advancements so that they can stand out in a crowded market.
Yeah. Yeah, and that matters if people are just trying to advance their career, or if they're job seeking, or even if they're um, starting a business. And that's the challenge, right? Is to stay up on all of that.
Yes.
Well, as you say, not just to stay up on it, but to use what really matters.
Yes.
One of the things that the group we work with, our Career Industry Authority group, and it's helpful to have other people that can give you their input, like, what have they done with it, or what are they using, because there are so many tools, and as I've seen, and you probably have too, some of the time they don't do what they say they will do, and so you spend some time trying to look at them, and then it doesn't work out. So I know that you probably have other communities that you pay attention to as well, to figure out what is really working.
Yes. And it can become overwhelming at times because everybody wants to be heard. Look at me, I'm doing this. So, buy this from me and buy that from me. And you really have to learn how to draw the line and figure out what it is you really need to help move you forward in what you're trying to accomplish, and not get caught up in all the sales jargon, which can be very convincing at times, and just to find out that you bought something that you didn't even need that's not going to help you move forward or accomplish the goal that you're trying to achieve.
Right, right. And that, I know we talk about it sometimes, the tech stack. What do you need things to do, and what technology is doing that for you? And then making sure you're not wasting time and money on things that aren't serving you.
Right.
How do you keep track of that for your business? Do you have a place where you keep track of all the technologies that you are using?
I try. I don't always succeed at keeping it up, but I try to make sure that I have a spreadsheet where I make a note of what I'm buying or what I've purchased and what its purpose is for, and how I feel it can help me or my clients.
Yeah. Yeah. And then if something's recurring, knowing when you need to, I send myself little boomerangs of when it's going to renew again, so that I can reevaluate it at that time to
Right.
determine if it's really going to be a good thing to keep using.
Right. And there's nothing worse than getting an invoice for some software that you bought a year ago and completely forgot about, and now it's time for it to be renewed, and you don't even recall that you owned it.
Right. Well, and a lot of them have been raising prices recently. Some of the video storage stuff been raising prices, and so it's important to pay attention to that too.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so you've got this unique position where you're in career management. You also are doing, digital marketing. Um, what do you see coming next in terms of how technology is going to shape job search and personal branding?
Wow. I think that it's it's important for people to understand how AI is going to play a big role in our future, and to embrace it, not try to hide from it or ignore it, because it's not going away. And that's really one of the biggest things that I see
Right.
on the horizon.
I don't know if I shared this with you, but one of the presenters at a conference I was at recently kind of posed that perhaps ChatGPT would be like Clubhouse, and in a few months it will die down and go away. But then you start to see how it's being integrated, or the technology behind it is being integrated into so many things. I brought up that it could perhaps be more like the smartphone, where it evolves, but it becomes kind of an integral underlying part of everything that we do.
Yes, most definitely. I don't see it going away. There may be some changes coming down the pike and how it's being used, because there are some concerns, and rightfully so. But I think for people who are mostly using it for brainstorming and research, kind of like a little assistant to help you on the side that doesn't give you a lot of trouble, just does what you say, what you ask it to do. I think people will find that to be helpful once they understand it's not going anywhere.
Right. And there's so many different ways that people are using it. And like you said, trying to figure out the security part of it. How do we make it less and dangerous, perhaps, to put information in there? But it's definitely not going anywhere. And we are going to take a short break. When we come back, talk a little bit more about how this relates specifically to older job seekers, those people that maybe there's a assumption that they're not as good with technology, and how those older job seekers can use some of these technological advances to their benefit, actually kind of flip the script and use it to their benefit. So we're going to take a short break and we'll be right back. Career Thought Leaders has an event coming up starting the 18th of July. It's called Tech Jam, where we explore technologies that are used for job search and business management. You can check that out. It's called Tech Jam, Career Thought Leaders Tech Jam. You check that out and learn more about that event if you're interested in figuring out how you could use technology in your job search or in your business. We will be right back in just a few minutes.
Follow Voice America at facebook.com/Voice America for juicy updates from your favorite radio shows and podcasts.
You know that the career landscape has changed and that you need to be proactive about managing your career. You can have the foresight, skills, and confidence you need to take charge of your career and seize opportunities. A strategic advantage and career expert, Marie Zimenoff has helped thousands of leaders like you get focused, get found, and get hired. Visit getcareersmart.com to find out more. That's getcareersmart.com, or call 800-521-2080 to schedule your complimentary consultation.
Tune in to The Soul of Enterprise, Business in the Knowledge Economy, with co-hosts Ron Baker and Ed Kless. Ron and Ed will show you how to recognize that wealth is created by intellectual capital. It's all in the possibilities that we can create and that are created for us. These possibilities are destined to be discovered by human imagination and through the service of others, creating a brighter future for all of us. The Soul of Enterprise is heard live every Friday at noon Pacific Time, 3 p.m. Eastern Time on the Voice America Variety Channel.
Are you a business leader or executive that wants to achieve more? Not just in it for profit, but to do work you find meaningful that adds more value to more people in more ways. Listen for the Business Elevation Show with host Chris Cooper. You'll hear from successful achievers from around the world with the passion and experience to offer invaluable guidance. The Business Elevation Show can be heard live on Fridays at 8 a.m. US Pacific Time, usually 4 p.m. UK, on the Voice America Business Channel. Be more, achieve more.
Enjoying our shows and can't get enough of us? Follow us on Instagram at Voice America Talk Radio and see what we're cooking up for you. You are tuned in to the Career Confidante with Marie Zimenoff. If you have a question or comment for Marie or her guest today, please call 1-866-472-5790. That's 1-866-472-5790. You may also send an email to marie@strategicadvantage.com. Now, back to the Career Confidante.
Welcome back to Career Confidante Radio, and we are talking with Marcia Baker today about using technology in your job search, in your business, and in work in general to keep us in sustainable employment, to have our long-term career trajectory. We've got to know and be able to use these technologies. I mentioned before break that we have an event coming up starting July 18th called Tech Jam. You can check that out at careertl.com/tech-jam-2023. So, Marcia, we were sharing how it's helpful for job seekers to use these technologies to have an online presence. Why is that even more important for older job seekers and professionals?
Well, the truth of the matter is that there are going to be some jobs that are going away. And rather than the fear of what's coming down the pike, it's a great opportunity to get in front of it and learn how to, or educate yourself on the ways that you can use these new technologies and stay in the forefront.
Right. And that can make someone stand out. We've seen professionals recently in training the rest of their business on how they might use ChatGPT. And of course, you're not an expert, but you can go out there and learn a few things. And a lot of it's experimentation. That marketing class that I was taking just a few days ago, they were saying, you can take classes on how to do prompts in ChatGPT, but it's really just getting in there and playing around with it and seeing what it does. And I see prompts all the time on LinkedIn and LinkedIn posts, and I wonder, has that person actually gone to ChatGPT and typed that in? Because it doesn't work. It doesn't work. The prompt that they're sharing on LinkedIn, it doesn't actually do what they said it would do. And so that's part of it too, is just that challenge of not being afraid, I guess, to mess around with it.
Most definitely. I showed, I belong to a networking group that has several older people in it, and they were just amazed at what ChatGPT could do. And most of them, before I showed them anything, they just had this mindset that they weren't interested, that it wasn't anything they needed to know about. And by the time I got through showing them different things, they were asking me, oh, can you ask it to do this? And can you ask it to do that? And they were just amazed by what they were getting, the types of responses. But what I also made sure I shared with them was not to just use the information that ChatGPT puts out. You want to make sure that it's factual. You want to do additional research just to make sure it's saying what you want to convey.
Yeah. And that the biggest thing that I see happening with ChatGPT specifically is people asking it to write when it can't write for you. So I'm talking resumes, cover letters. Mm-hmm. You can use it to write those things, but you've got to give it input, or else it's just giving you generic junk output.
Exactly.
So you probably knew this, but I didn't. So I assumed that ChatGPT was trained on data from like the internet, but I recently learned that it was trained on data from Reddit, Twitter, things that are conversational, because it's a conversational AI. So when you ask it to write you a resume, it's pulling from somebody's example on Reddit, which is like the least authority place.
That's true. That is so true. You have to be careful and understand the ramifications of what you are doing. It's a great tool, but you really need to understand its limitations as well.
Yeah. And one of the guys that I've been following, he just said, use it to synthesize, to combine, to shorten, to reword, but don't use it just to write from scratch unless, like a blog, right? You could ask it to write a blog, and it's probably going to have better outcomes because it's not trying to write about you. When you ask it to write about you, it just can't. It doesn't have the data set to do that.
No, not unless you have vetted enough information about yourself
Right.
that you're willing to share. And in cases like that, the outcome can be a bit more personalized and not so generic. But you have to give it information because that's how it works.
Right. Well, so there's maybe just some mistakes in ChatGPT, but what are some other mistakes that all people, but maybe even especially your older job seekers, tend to make when they're building their online presence?
Well, I have found that most of them don't want to build an online presence. And that is key in itself. And for many of them, that's not the way they did it many years ago. And they don't think that that's the way they need to do it now. And getting them to understand that we are in a different world now where most things are done online, or, at least using some type of technology. You need to be able to be willing to explore the options and the opportunities that are available. If you want to move ahead, if you want to stay relevant in your field, if you want to even transition into a different field, if you want to be in business, you need to be able to understand and recognize that the technology is being used all around you.
Right. And that not doing the technology pieces, have you seen that hurt these job seekers, especially older job seekers?
Definitely. And, then sometimes the first things that people will say, well, it doesn't work. It's not going to work. And it's because they weren't willing to try. So you have to be open to trying. I have an 84-year-old client who has embraced ChatGPT and technology in general, and she uses it almost every day in her business. And it's just amazing sometimes to see that happening. And it's because she wants to remain relevant and be able to help her clients as well.
Right. And there is so many things that we can do with it once we learn how to use it, all these systems. Okay. So as we talk about systems, what are some of your favorites right now that you're using in your business or with your clients?
Well, we have tools like Canva, which has just really become quite the rave for everyone, especially when it comes to designing professional visuals. Canva has taken the forefront in that area. And then there are just so many other tools that are available for productivity and marketing and writing content. And then also you have tools like, let's say like Udly, which has been very popular in helping people improve their public speaking and communication skills. And all of these things can be quite invaluable when it comes to effectively navigating the digital landscape.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just talking to a Canva expert today who's going to come and talk with our group at Tech Jam. And her specialty is helping people get organized in Canva. I don't know about you, but I've got probably thousands of designs that are running around and not easy to keep track of. So I'm excited about that that session, just thinking about how technology is helpful, but if you are a little bit more mindful in how you use it, it can be even more helpful.
Oh yeah, most definitely. The key to is with all of these tools is organization, and as we talked earlier, keeping just a spreadsheet of what you have and what it does can be helpful, because you may be getting ready to buy something else and then find out, well, I already have something that does that already. I don't need to buy anything else. And then a lot of the tools also, the developers add new features and new functionality on, and where you may have thought that the tool may have just done one thing, now it does quite a few more things, making it even more valuable to you.
Right. And keeping track of that can be challenging if you are using too many systems. Then you don't know what does what, or do you really need that other thing? Some of the social media scheduling systems are constantly adding platforms or whatever. And so like I was using a specific system for Instagram, but now my other system does Instagram. And so I don't need that one anymore. I need to, make sure we cancel it and move everything to a different place so that you're not double paying for things.
Right.
Well, Marcia, this is it's an interesting topic. It's an important topic for people to understand that technology can be used, but we also have to think about how we're using it in a way that's effective. Any places that people can connect with you to learn more about you and follow your technology tips?
Oh, well, I am on LinkedIn, and that's always a good place to reach out. And I'm in the process of rebranding my website, so that should be up very shortly. And people can reach me at advancethevision.com as well.
Excellent. Advancethevision.com. All right. Well, we are going to say bye to Marcia. We will be back to talk a little bit more about how you can manage your technology and what you really want to be thinking about as you're moving forward in the technology overwhelm of 2023. We're going to take a short break and we'll be back in just a few minutes.
Voice America is on LinkedIn. Connect with us today.
You know that the career landscape has changed and that you need to be proactive about managing your career. You can have the foresight, skills, and confidence you need to take charge of your career and seize opportunities. A strategic advantage and career expert, Marie Zimenoff has helped thousands of leaders like you get focused, get found, and get hired. Visit getcareersmart.com to find out more. That's getcareersmart.com or call 800-521-2080 to schedule your complimentary consultation.
Small businesses are in trouble, and it didn't just start with COVID-19. From the recession several years ago to the revolution of e-commerce giants more recently, small businesses are getting hit hard and need to come back. Tune in to Business Buzz and Business Watch. It's 2 shows in one, hosted by Frank Hellring. We'll help your small business bounce back with best practices, guest experts, and resources that you can use to strengthen your small business. Listen Wednesdays at 10 a.m. Pacific and 1 p.m. Eastern on Voice America Business.
Are you a business owner, 1099 contractor, part-time employee, or volunteer who needs group health coverage you can actually afford? Do you know a nonprofit who would benefit from unlimited zero-cost funding? How about cost reduction, school safety, mental health wellness, and more? All these and more are fair game on Finding Certainty. If you want more certainty in your own life, you are not alone. Join us each Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 p.m. Eastern on the Voice America Business Channel. Find your own brand of certainty and realize your personal American dream with Finding Certainty, hosted by Patrick Lang. Let's unwrap the certainty experience together.
A little birdie told me Voice America is on Twitter. Follow us at Voice America TRN. You are tuned in to the Career Confidante with Marie Zimenoff. If you have a question or comment for Marie or her guest today, please call 1-866-472-5790. That's 1-866-472-5790. You may also send an email to marie@strategicadvantage.com. Now, back to the Career Confidante.
Welcome back to the Career Confidante. And today we've been talking about technology and how we can best use technology in our business or in our career research or even in our everyday jobs. So start by thinking that what is it that you do every day? And this is really where we start with finding technology that actually helps you instead of technology that's just flashy, shiny, fun, maybe, but could be wasting your time. So tracking our tasks, tracking our time, that's really where this all starts. And when we think about increasing productivity, effectiveness, whatever it might be, that is where it has to start. How are you spending your time right now? What are you doing on a daily basis? And then you can look at it and go through this process. So first, what could you eliminate? Are there any things that just don't need to be done? They're excess, they're not, adding value towards the end goal, things that you've maybe always done or whatever it might be that you don't really think about. You're doing it, it's taking your time, taking your energy, maybe even taking your money, and doesn't really add value towards your larger goal. That's the first thing. What could you eliminate? Then what could you automate? That's where a lot of these systems come in. Now, the challenge when you're bringing on a new technology is that you don't necessarily want to bring in the technology right away, because then if you're not really set with your process and what you need, you might get a technology that doesn't fit your needs. This is the number one thing that people ask me all the time. What system should I use to do this? What system should I use to do that? 90% of the time, it depends. What social media management software should you use? Well, it depends. How many platforms are you posting on? What platforms are you posting on? And how much do you want to post? Because most systems, either you do some things or not others. Some systems, for instance, won't post on Instagram, or they won't post Reels, or they won't, whatever it might be. So you've got to know first a really detailed idea of what you want. Same thing if you're going to choose a customer relationship management program or whatever it might be. First, you've got to know, what do you need it to do right now and maybe in the next step. So what do you need it to do right now? What do you need it to do maybe in the next step? The reason you want to do that is because then when you go to shop your systems, you know your criteria, you know what you're looking for, you know the questions to ask that will tell you whether or not it's going to work for you. And you'll also know how that technology is going to fit into your existing process. When you don't know that, you can't bring it on, and it's going to be hard for it to actually fit in and be effective for you. So you want to start with that process, doing it manually for a while first, so that then when you bring in the technology to automate it, you've already got the system set up and you understand what you're going to do with it. The other mistake that I see people make is that they're so afraid of choosing the wrong technology, or of, maybe I'll need this next thing soon, or maybe this is going to change. You really have to be careful about the analysis paralysis. I really know someone who has been talking about creating an online course for years, but can't find the right platform. That, my friends, is platform procrastination. You are just using that decision so that you don't have to do anything. We don't want to do that. It's better to make a mistake as long as it moves you forward. It's not a waste of money. Do the monthly instead of paying for it annually. Although sometimes I like to pay for it annually because then I'm kind of stuck there and I have to stick it out, figure it out, use the system, because then when I'm ready to grow, I'm going to have to move to a new system. It's just the way the world works. But by then, now I've got a process. Most of the time things can be exported so that you don't have to spend as much energy getting that new system going as you did the first system. But you are going to make changes. Probably, I don't know, hopefully not any more than every other year, every third year. We don't want to spend so much time looking for your forever software that you don't get it done. There is no forever software. Things change prices, things move, things grow. Occasionally things go out of business, but that doesn't tend to be as prevalent as people think it would be. You just outgrow it, especially if you start with, kind of a bare bones startup type system to get started. There's nothing wrong with that. Then you move and you go into the next thing when you're ready. So don't let that platform procrastination get you, and don't jump into the software before you really have your process set, or else you'll just end up recreating it over and over again as you refine your process. A little bit of that's going to happen anyways, but if you are running your process manually for a few months first, you'll have less of that because you'll know what you want it to look like when you start to build it out. Whatever it might be, course, a CRM, whatever it might be. So look at your tasks. What is critical to your business? What's making a difference? What's moving the needle? Then you're looking at what can you automate, get some automation, start with the things that will save you the most time or increase your sales, improve your customer service. You want to focus in on those areas where it's really going to make a difference. And as I mentioned, our Career Industry Authority group gets together every week and we talk about these types of things very frequently. What are people using to do this? What are people doing with that? And that's why we started Tech Jam, was because we were getting so many questions from people about what software should I use? How can I do this? How can I do that? And it's really been a lot of fun every year to just dive in and look at the technologies. And again, you can learn about that at careertl.com/tech-jam-2023. So the communities that you're likely already a part of, whether that's professional groups or even job seeker groups, but ask people specifically, what have you been using that for? Tell me your use case. How does it help you? And I know I see a lot of, it's an easy thing to pick on. I see a lot of ChatGPT prompts online, on LinkedIn, that don't actually work if you plug them into ChatGPT. So be careful as you're sharing things that you've tested it first. It does shift and change, and sometimes it gives you a different answer when you ask the same question. But you want to make sure that people are actually testing the things out that they are recommending to you. I was somewhat overwhelmed myself to learn that there are more than a dozen systems that claim to use AI to help you prepare for an interview. So there's all these new systems that have come out that say they use AI, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're using it in a way that's helpful, or sometimes I think that they're using it at all. So you want to dig in and do the trials, ask people how they've used it, look for use cases, look for case studies, so that you really understand how it's being used and how it fits with the best practices in whatever space you're using it in. And the technologies out there, man, they just blow you away. There's so many of them, but you're really looking for what task you're trying to automate. How is it going to add value for you, for your business, for your customers, for your job search, whatever it might be? And then is it going to be a good fit for you in that space and in how you want to use it? You may have noticed today we're recording this a few days early. Today's July 6th as I'm recording this. And last night, yesterday afternoon, Meta released Threads. First of all, to steal a name that was used in a different platform, but for some reason must have not been copyrighted. Brilliant. Maybe not like it, but it is. And in less than 24 hours had more than, I think I just saw more than 50 million users. So does that mean you should jump on Threads? Not necessarily. Think about what would that do for you? Is it a good fit for you and what you want to accomplish, whether that's personal, social, or professional business, career? What could it do for you? Is it going to be a good fit? I've been connecting to the people that make sense for me so I can watch what they're doing, see how it's going to play out, see if it's a place that Career Thought Leaders wants to stay. But just because it's the new thing doesn't mean that it's where you need to be. That's a challenge when there's so much new technology coming on, but you're really thinking about how does it add value for me in my business and my career. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, I'm going to focus in a little bit more on how some of these technologies can help you if you are an employee, a job seeker, and thinking about advancing your career, advancing your job search. There are so many free opportunities to help you accomplish whatever goal you have, to stand out at work, to show that you are flexible and adaptable when it comes to technology. But what should you choose and what's really going to matter for you is the question we want to ask. So we'll take a short break, and when we come back, we'll talk about how you can use technology to further your career and your job search. We'll be right back in just a few minutes.
Follow Voice America at facebook.com/Voice America for juicy updates from your favorite radio shows and podcasts.
You know that the career landscape has changed and that you need to be proactive about managing your career. You can have the foresight, skills, and confidence you need to take charge of your career and seize opportunities. A strategic advantage and career expert, Marie Zimenoff has helped thousands of leaders like you get focused, get found, and get hired. Visit getcareersmart.com to find out more. That's getcareersmart.com or call 800-521-2080 to schedule your complimentary consultation.
Say It Skillfully is my radio show about being who you are and saying what you think needs to be said. This is your host, Molly Chang. I'll help you find the right words to tackle any challenging conversation you've been avoiding. Whether you're part of a small project team or leading a giant company, the more you accept that you're part of the problem, the faster you can be part of the solution. You'll learn how to achieve success on your terms and be happier, healthier, and more productive at work and in your life. Check out sayitskillfully.com for practical resources, including my 90-second videos, real life examples showing you how to speak up skillfully. I invite you to call in with your questions. Join me live every Tuesday, 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific on the Voice America Business Channel. And no, I'm cheering for you.
Tune in to The Soul of Enterprise, Business in the Knowledge Economy, with co-hosts Ron Baker and Ed Class. Ron and Ed will show you how to recognize that wealth is created by intellectual capital. It's all in the possibilities that we can create and that are created for us. These possibilities are destined to be discovered by human imagination and through the service of others, creating a brighter future for all of us. The Soul of Enterprise is heard live every Friday at noon Pacific Time, 3 p.m. Eastern Time on the Voice America Variety Channel.
You are tuned in to the Career Confidant with Marie Zimenoff. If you have a question or comment for Marie or her guest today, please call 1-866-472-5790. That's 1-866-472-5790. You may also send an email to marie@strategicadvantage.com. Now, back to the Career Confidant.
Welcome back to Career Confidant, and today we've been talking about how we can use technology in our business, in our job search, in our career. Now, you might be thinking, all right, that's great, Marie, but I don't run a business. Why should I care about some of these AI tools? So here's what I found about some of the free tools. As I said before, there's more than a dozen tools that will help you use AI to prepare for an interview. Why would that matter? Well, you can get feedback from some of these systems, and Udly is the one that I've tested the most. You can get feedback not just around filler words, but around pace. And some of them, like Udly, will also tell you if there might be a better way to phrase what you've said. So it records you, it transcribes you, and it gives you feedback on your pace, your tone, any words that you might have said that aren't ideal, like gender-focused words like guys and those types of things, and if there might be a better way to say something, a more concise or effective, clear way to say something that you've said. It's not just an interview tool, it's also a communications tool, so people are using it in meetings and leaderships using it, and if you want to improve your communication skills at work, it would be a great tool. But you can see how for interviews, now I've got the timing of my answers. Am I rambling? Am I talking too long? I've got the words, the transcript I can look at. I've got feedback that goes some ways in more detail than a coach might be able to give me, but there's still some gaps, and so our coaches are using it to fill in the gaps beyond what they might be able to say, but then they're still giving feedback that AI couldn't give around hitting the targets and human interaction and some of those things that you're going to have a harder time getting from an AI. So they work very well in partnership with each other, these AI tools and the coaches that are part of my community. So these tools can be very helpful when you're thinking about improving your skills. Most of the AI coaches that are out there, I really wish they'd call them advisors, because that's what they're doing, is they're giving you advice. Nothing wrong with that. Many of them simply are giving you a voice and a face that's, in essence, reading ChatGPT feedback to you. They might be a little bit better trained than that, but not much at this point for many of them. And so you can use those tools to get advice around leadership. There's a whole bunch of them, career, leadership, and all the different skills that you might need to advance your career. You can check out those AI coaches or use ChatGPT to get advice on how you might do those things better. Not going to replace a coach, because again, a coach is going to talk with you, listen to you, ask you questions that AI can't ask you, and get you to have a lot more problem solving and going deeper than those AI systems can do. Now, it's not just in job search or skill development, it's also mattering to employers. So there's some research done, and it's hard because I'm always trying to look at, who's doing this research, that how many people are they asking, and those types of things. There's some research earlier that, X percent of people had used ChatGPT to write their resume. But when they got that data, they surveyed ChatGPT users. So it sounded like this huge number of people were using it that way. But in fact, it was a small percentage, because they'd only gone and asked people that were already ChatGPT users versus the entire public. So we always want to look at that and think about how people are getting this data. But there seems to be consistent reports from many different sources that employers are looking for ChatGPT skills as they're hiring. And this one human resource director article is talking about how that plays out in different sectors. So as we might expect, most of the jobs looking for ChatGPT skills are in software development or IT, but also seeing it in advertising and marketing, not too surprising, financial services, higher education, manufacturing, which I found interesting, e-learning, not surprising, and then a smaller amount in hospitals, human resources, insurance, legal services, nonprofit, and retail. So you're getting a small percentage of those employers that are looking for people with ChatGPT skills. So it is mainly in the higher end roles. So that's important for us to think about. Engineering, data science, product management. There's a whole bunch of stuff out there on using ChatGPT for those types of fields. And then, of course, in advertising, marketing, professional services. Now, I've seen some people talking about how ChatGPT is kind of a professional's assistant and may cause challenges for lower level employees. In some ways, that is true. It's going to replace some of those repetitive jobs. In other ways, it is a tool that can really help people that don't have some of the same resources, because so many of these tools are free, like Udly, right? As someone might not be able to afford an interview coach or afford a communications coach, but they can get onto something like Udly for free, or some of their competitors for low cost, and be able to get that service. There are opportunities to use it for fixing your resume, as Marcia and I were talking about earlier. You don't want to use it to write your resume, but you can use it to improve your effectiveness of the statements on your resume, and that will level the playing field for some people that don't have the ability to pay a writer, or maybe don't have the English skills. And that leveling the playing field is great to see, as long as people still have access, which for right now they do through the free version of ChatGPT, or in some ways the free version of Bing Compose. I think it's called Bing Compose. So there's opportunity there to find the technologies that make a difference for you, shop to see if they'll be worth any investment, make sure they fit into your existing tasks, unless it's something that really is going to add value to add, right? We're really looking for the technologies to be able to automate what you're already doing, and to automate those things that move the needle in your business or in your career. Otherwise, it's just another shiny object. So as you're thinking about the technology that you use for your business, for your career, feel free to drop us a note and let us know what you use, what you find helpful. And you can also find the information to join us for Tech Jam at careertl.com/tech-jam-2023. We will be back here again next week on the Career Confidante, and look forward to seeing you then.
Thank you for listening to the Career Confidante. Marie Zimenoff will return again with another terrific guest next Monday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, 11 a.m. Pacific, on the Voice America Business Channel. Be sure to join us then.